St. Catherine's Academy for Young Ladies stood proudly against the misty morning sky, its Victorian architecture a testament to old-world elegance. Inside the headmistress's office, Alexandra Vale sat reviewing student papers with the precise attention she once reserved for tracking dangerous fugitives. At 45, she wore her role as an educator like a perfectly tailored suit. But beneath that polished exterior lay the instincts of a predator. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The first hint of trouble came with the sound of gravel crunching under heavy tires. Alexandra's hand paused mid-signature, her trained ear catching the irregular rhythm of multiple vehicles approaching too early for any scheduled deliveries. Without seeming to rush, she moved to her window, eyes scanning the tree-lined driveway leading to the school's main entrance. Miss Winters, the mathematics teacher, burst into the office, her usual composure slightly fractured. "Headmistress Vale, we have unregistered vehicles approaching from the North Road. How many students are currently on campus?" Alexandra's voice remained calm, measured. 23, ma'am. All seniors, here for the early study program." Alexandra moved to what appeared to be an ordinary wooden panel behind her desk. A few precise touches revealed a hidden monitor displaying security camera feeds. 5 vehicles approached. Military grade, modified for pursuit and assault, not the transportation of choice for concerned parents. "Initiate protocol Nightingale," Alexandra ordered, reaching for a key she hadn't touched in 7 years. Quietly, as Miss Winters hurried to evacuate the students to the underground archive, Alexandra accessed her hidden security terminal. The prestigious girls' school was about to reveal its true nature, a fortress designed by one of history's most successful bounty hunters. Through encrypted channels, she sent out a message she'd hoped would never be necessary. Kingfisher. Protocol initiated. St. Catherine's compromised. 23 students, 7 staff. Professional incursion team approaching. Requesting silent response. The response came almost immediately. Assets en route. 45 minutes minimum. Maintain a secure position. Mr. Cooper's voice crackled through her secure radio. "Ma'am, thermal imaging shows military-grade weapons. These aren't common thugs. Based on their formation, private military contractors, special forces gone rogue." Below ground, Miss Winters guided the confused students through hidden passages that had been carefully renovated over the years. The young women whispered among themselves, their excitement slowly giving way to genuine concern as they realized this was no drill. Chef Marcus and his maintenance team, all carefully selected former operatives, moved silently through the building, securing potential entry points. Each member of staff had been chosen by Alexandra, their mundane roles concealing lethal skill sets. The satellite phone vibrated again. "Confirmed identity of hostile force, Blackwater PMC Splinter. Group, leader Marcus Drake." Alexandra's blood ran cold. Drake, the one man who'd nearly caught her on her final mission. The one person who might have guessed her true identity. She pulled up the student records, scanning for anything she might have missed. There it was. Catherine Drake, enrolled. Under her mother's maiden name, the pieces fell into place with devastating clarity. This wasn't a random raid, it was personal. Drake wanted his daughter, and possibly the woman who'd eluded him 7 years ago. Alexandra watched through the cameras as his men systematically probed her outer defenses, their efficiency confirming her worst fears. They'd been watching, planning, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. She sent one final message. "Be advised, this is not a smash and grab. It's a recovery operation. Drake wants his daughter and revenge." The first vehicle slammed through the front gate, and Alexandra Vale felt the familiar surge of adrenaline she'd almost forgotten. 7 years of maintaining her cover as the prim and proper headmistress dissolved in an instant. The hunter was awake, and her school was about to become a battleground. The first shots fired weren't bullets, but electromagnetic pulses that sent cascading failures through the raiders' communications equipment. Alexandra watched with grim satisfaction as their coordinated advance faltered momentarily. But Drake's men were professionals. They immediately switched to hand signals and continued their methodical approach. From her vantage point, Alexandra noted their formation splitting into 3 teams. 2 would likely breach the east and west wings, while the third, probably led by Drake himself, would drive straight for the administrative center. Classic pincer movement designed to overwhelm ordinary security measures. A quiet chime from her terminal indicated an incoming message from the underground archive. Miss Winters had successfully evacuated all 23 students, but now faced an unexpected problem. Catherine Drake was demanding answers, claiming she recognized the tactical vehicles from her father's private security company. "Your father's. Men are here for you," Alexandra typed back, "but they're not following legal channels. Stay quiet and trust no one but our staff." Catherine's reply was immediate. "I ran away from him for a reason. He'll kill me if he finds out what I discovered." Alexandra's mind raced. This wasn't just about a father reclaiming his daughter. There was something deeper, something that made a trained killer send a military team into a prestigious school. She needed more information, but time was running out. The building shuddered as breaching charges detonated at 2 service entrances. Alexandra activated the school's interior defense systems. Reinforced doors slammed shut, segregating sections of the building. Corridors filled with dense fog, and specialized lights created disorienting patterns that would make thermal imaging. "Useless. Cooper, status," she whispered into her comm. "East team encountering our first surprises," came the reply. "Marcus has them rotating through the maintenance tunnels. They've already lost 2 men to the knockout gas." A series of rapid explosions echoed through the building. Drake's men were blasting through her barriers faster than expected. They'd clearly studied the school's layout, but they couldn't know about all her modifications. 7 years of paranoid preparation had turned this Victorian architecture into a deadly maze. In the security office, Mr. Cooper orchestrated a series of false alarms and mechanical failures, making the building itself seem to fight back against the intruders. Elevators stopped between floors, sprinkler systems activated randomly, and motion sensors triggered conflicting alerts. Alexandra moved silently through her private passages, making her way to a secondary control room. The familiar weight of her old equipment brought back memories she'd tried to suppress. The last time she'd worn this gear, she'd been hunting Drake through a war-torn city, following the trail of his illegal weapons shipments. Now he was hunting her, using his own daughter as bait. But why? What had Catherine discovered that was worth all this? In the underground archive, Catherine huddled with her classmates, her face pale but determined. "Miss Winters," she whispered, "there's something you need to know. My father, he's not just private security. He's been selling military secrets, helping terrorist cells establish training camps. I found proof in his private servers, and An explosion above cut off her words. Dust rained from the ceiling as the building shook. Drake's men were getting closer to the administrative center, but they still hadn't found the hidden passages to the archive. Alexandra's voice crackled through Miss Winters' radio. "Keep them calm. If they breach the outer office, activate Protocol Hades. You remember the training." Miss Winters swallowed hard. Protocol Hades was their last resort, flooding the upper levels with a specialized gas that would incapacitate anyone without. The prophylactic drugs the staff had been secretly taking for years. It would work, but the paperwork afterward would be a nightmare. In the East Wing, Chef Marcus and his team had engaged the first group of intruders. The sounds of combat echoed through the corridors, the measured violence of professionals who knew every trick in the book. Marcus had positioned his people at key choke points, using the building's architecture to negate the raiders' superior numbers. "Contact in Sector 7, Marcus reported calmly, as if calling out lunch orders. "They're good, ma'am. Military. Trained, but they're fighting blind in our house." Alexandra reached her secondary position just as the West team breached the library. Through the security feeds, she watched them move with practiced precision, checking corners and maintaining perfect coverage. But they were following an outdated floor plan. The library's recent renovation had added several surprises. "Cooper, spring the trap in Section 4, she ordered. The floor beneath the West team suddenly rotated, sending them sliding into a reinforced holding area. Panels slammed shut, trapping 4 of Drake's men in a space that quickly filled with sleeping gas. But Drake himself remained elusive. Alexandra knew his patterns. He would hold back, analyze the situation, look for the weakness in her defenses, and eventually he would figure it out. The only way to protect a school this effectively was if someone with extensive security experience had designed the systems. Someone like the bounty hunter who'd almost caught him 7 years ago. A new message flashed on her screen. "Closest. Backup still 30 minutes out. Local authorities have been advised to stay clear. This is now a federal operation." Alexandra grimaced. 30 minutes was an eternity in a siege. She needed to even the odds further, but her options were limited. Using lethal force would bring too many questions, too much attention. She had to maintain the illusion of a school. Security system, not reveal the deadly capabilities hidden beneath the surface. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time. So if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Through the cameras, she spotted movement in the main corridor. A figure moving differently than the others. Drake. He was making his way toward the administrative offices, but his path suggested he knew about at least one of the secret passages. He was hunting her specifically now. "Cooper, status on the East team? 5 down, 3 still mobile. Marcus has them pinned in the dining hall. And the West? 4 captured in the library trap. 2 pulled back to the entrance. They're regrouping. With Drake, Alexandra checked her equipment one last time. Everything was non-lethal, but in her hands it would be more than enough. She'd spent 7 years playing the refined headmistress, maintaining a cover so perfect even her staff didn't know the full truth. But Drake had forced her hand, and now she had to protect her students without revealing too much of her past. A noise in the corridor outside made her freeze. Soft footsteps, barely audible. Drake was closer than she'd thought. He'd found one of her secret passages, probably by analyzing the building's heat signatures. Clever, but not clever enough. "I know you're here," his voice carried through the walls. "The famous ghost, hiding as a schoolteacher. Did you think I wouldn't recognize your work? The security systems, the staff selection, the attention to detail, it all screamed of your paranoia." Alexandra remained silent, fingers dancing across her terminal. Throughout the building, systems recalibrated, preparing for her next move. "You have something that belongs to me," Drake continued. "My daughter and the files she stole. Did she tell you what she found? About the camps, the weapons, the deals? She's just a child playing with things she doesn't understand." "She understands. Enough," Alexandra whispered to herself, putting the final touches on her plan. In the archive below, Catherine held proof that could bring down Drake's entire operation. But first, Alexandra had to ensure everyone's survival for the next 30 minutes. She opened a secure line to all staff. "Execute Pattern Sierra. Mark your targets. On my signal, we remind these gentlemen why St. Catherine's has a 100% success rate in protecting its students. The school's ancient heating system provided unexpected cover, as steam hissed through old radiators, masking the sound of Alexandra's movements. She accessed a hidden compartment in the wall, retrieving specialized equipment she'd hoped would never see use, adhesive that could temporarily disable electronic equipment, sound dampeners that could disorient without causing permanent damage, and a set of throwing knives weighted perfectly for non-lethal strikes. In the dining hall, Chef Marcus's team had transformed the space into a close-quarters combat zone. Overturned tables created a maze-like pattern, with the kitchen's industrial refrigeration units humming loudly enough to mask their movements. 3 of Drake's men lay unconscious, their high-tech gear rendered useless by simple cooking oil, spread strategically across the floor. "They're adapting," Marcus reported quietly, "starting to use the old service corridors we didn't renovate. Permission to fall back to position Delta?" "Granted," Alexandra replied, "but leave them a few surprises." In the kitchen first, Marcus grinned, reaching for the industrial pressure cookers his team had modified months ago. When triggered, they would release a cloud of harmless but disorienting spices, his own special recipe for chaos. Meanwhile, the school's maintenance, a team led by former demolitions expert James Chen, had rigged the gymnasium with a series of controlled atmospheric changes. By adjusting pressure and humidity levels, they could influence the raiders' equilibrium without leaving any evidence of tampering. "New section secured," Chen reported, "but they're starting to recognize our patterns. Drake trained them well." In the archive below, Catherine had begun sharing more details with Miss Winters. "The training camps weren't just for mercenaries," she whispered. "They were testing grounds for something bigger. Biological agents, chemical weapons. My father's company was running experiments. When I found the files, I couldn't just ignore it." Miss Winters maintained her calm demeanor, but her mind raced. This explained the intensity of the assault. Drake wasn't just trying to retrieve his daughter, he was preventing an international incident. Above them, Alexandra moved through the shadows of the administrative wing, her steps silent despite the awkward confines of the secret passages. Years of muscle memory took over as she navigated the narrow spaces, mentally mapping Drake's most likely approach vectors. A quiet beep from her wrist computer indicated another message from Cooper. 3 more hostiles approaching from the north perimeter. Different equipment loadout, demo gear. They're planning something big. Alexandra's jaw tightened. Demo teams meant Drake was losing patience. He'd risk structural damage to flush them out, probably targeting the load-bearing walls near the administrative center. But that strategy had one critical flaw. He didn't know about the reinforced skeletal structure she'd had installed throughout the building. Cooper initiated the sonic defense protocol in sectors 6 through 9. Let's see how their demo equipment handles a few frequency disruptions. Through her cameras, she watched as high-frequency pulses began interfering with the raiders' electronic detonators. The demo team's confusion was visible as their equipment malfunction lights began blinking in sequence. But Drake's voice cut through her satisfaction. "You always did love your high-tech solutions, Ghost. But did you really think I wouldn't come? Prepared for your tricks? Check your perimeter cameras again." Alexandra's blood ran cold as she accessed the external feeds. 3 more vehicles had arrived silently during the chaos. Unmarked vans carrying what looked like signal jamming equipment. Drake had brought a counter for every one of her technological advantages. "You're not the only one who spent 7 years preparing," Drake's voice echoed through the corridors. "While you were playing school teacher, I was learning everything about you. Every pattern, every preference, every precaution you might take. I knew you'd turn this place into a fortress. That's why I brought an army." Alexandra allowed herself a grim smile. "Then you should have brought a bigger one." She activated her command console one final time, entering a code that would unlock the school's most sophisticated defense systems. Throughout the building, hidden panels began to slide open, revealing equipment that would make military contractors envious. This was no longer about maintaining cover. It was about protecting her students at any cost. "All units, prepare. For Pattern Omega, she broadcast to her staff, remember your training. We're not just protecting students now, we're preventing a global crisis. Whatever happens, that evidence cannot leave this building in Drake's hands. The building's atmospheric controls shifted subtly as Alexandra's final countermeasures came online. The real battle for St. Catherine's Academy was about to begin, and its headmistress was done playing defense. In the underground archive, the atmosphere had shifted from initial panic to something more complex. The 23 students, all high achievers accustomed to taking charge, began organizing themselves without prompting. Catherine Drake stood at the center of a heated debate about their next move. We can't just sit here waiting to be rescued, Maria Santos, daughter of a diplomatic attaché, argued. If what Catherine's saying is true, those files need to reach the proper authorities immediately. Rebecca Chen, the debate team captain, shook her head. The files are secure on Catherine's encrypted drive. Our priority should be ensuring everyone's safety. My father always says, your father runs a tech company, Maria interrupted. Mine deals with international security threats. If there really are illegal weapons tests happening... Ladies, Miss Winter's voice cut through the discussion. This is precisely why Protocol Nightingale exists. We stay put, stay quiet, and trust the system. But Catherine's expression had changed. The system? She pulled out a small laptop from her bag. While we've been talking, I've been running a deep scan of the school's network architecture. This isn't just a security system, it's military. Grade, the protocols, the encryption. This is ghost-level technology. The term made Miss Winters freeze. Ghost level was a classification few civilians knew about, referring to systems designed by an elite group of international operatives. The same group that had mysteriously disbanded 7 years ago. Above ground, the situation was evolving rapidly. Chef Marcus's team had successfully isolated 3 more of Drake's men in the East Wing. But the victory came at a cost. Sarah Chen, their demolitions expert, had taken a hit from a sonic weapon. Status? Marcus demanded, helping her behind a barricade. Temporary vertigo, Sarah managed, fighting nausea. They're using our own frequencies against us. Someone's feeding them our playbook. Marcus's expression darkened. Over the past 7 years, only 8 people had full access to the school's security specifications. One of them had to be compromised. In the Western Corridor, James Chen and his maintenance team encountered an unexpected problem. The raiders they'd trapped were using specialized cutting tools to access the building's original ventilation system. Something not shown on any modern blueprints. Ma'am, James radioed to Alexandra, they have historical documents, architectural plans from the school's original construction in 1887. The revelation sent a chill through Alexandra. Those plans were supposed to be sealed in the National Archives. Few people knew of their existence, and fewer still had the clearance to access them. It's not just Drake, she realized. He's working with someone from my old team. The thought barely had time to register before a new threat emerged. The school's power grid suddenly fluctuated, systems switching to backup generators in a cascading pattern. But the sequence was wrong. Someone was using the power transfers to map the building's hidden infrastructure. Cooper, Alexandra called, lock down the grid, full manual control. Too late, Cooper's voice was tense. They're already in. The override codes, they're using ghost protocols. In the server room, Cooper watched in disbelief as systems he'd helped install began turning against them. Emergency lights flickered in complex patterns, creating disorienting shadows that made the school's defense tactics less effective. Implementing countermeasures, he reported, fingers flying across his keyboard. But they're anticipating every move. It's like they're reading our playbook backward and forward. Alexandra's mind raced through possibilities. Only 5 people in the world knew enough about ghost-level systems to mount this kind of attack. 3 were dead. 1 was retired in New Zealand, which left... Isabella, she whispered. The name. brought back memories of their last mission together, the operation that had gone terribly wrong, forcing the entire Ghost program to shut down. In the gymnasium, Drake's demo team had begun setting up what looked like standard breaching equipment. But Sarah Chen, watching through surveillance cameras as she recovered, noticed something odd about their setup. "Those aren't demo charges," she radioed. "They're building a signal amplification array. Whatever they're planning, it's not just about getting in, they're trying to broadcast something out." The pieces started falling into place. Catherine's stolen files, Drake's excessive force, the sophisticated cyber attack. This wasn't just about silencing a witness, they were using the raid as cover for something bigger. "Miss Winters," Alexandra called over the secure channel, "initiate Protocol Atlas. Full spectrum scan of Catherine's drive now." In the archive, Miss Winters approached Catherine with new urgency. "Your laptop, the one with the files. We need to check something." Catherine clutched her computer protectively. "Why? What's Protocol Atlas?" "Because," Miss Winters explained, "I don't think you just stumbled onto those files about the weapons tests. I think someone wanted you to find them. Someone who knew exactly how you'd react, where you'd run, and who would protect you." The young woman's face paled as implications set in. "My father's partner," she whispered. "Isabella. She's the one who made sure I saw those files. She's been mentoring me in cybersecurity for the past year." In the administrative wing, Alexandra received the confirmation she'd been dreading. The attack wasn't just coming from Drake's team outside. Isabella was already inside the school's systems, having been for months, quietly preparing for this moment. "Cooper, initiate Ghost Protocol Omega-7, she ordered. "Full system purge and rebuild." "Ma'am." Cooper's voice was hesitant. "That will take down all our automated defenses. We'll be running blind." "Better blind than compromised?" "Isabella isn't here for Catherine or the files. She's using our own security system to access something bigger, something hidden in the school's bedrock. Because beneath St. Catherine's Academy, beneath the panic rooms and escape tunnels, lay something only 2 people knew about. A quantum computer housing enough classified data to start or stop wars. Alexandra had hidden it here 7 years ago, believing no one would look for ghost-level technology in a girls' school. But Isabella had figured it out. The raid, Catherine's files, even Drake's involvement. All of it was theater, an elaborate distraction from the real target. "All units," Alexandra broadcast to her staff, "prepare for Protocol 0. We're abandoning the automated systems. From here on out, we do this the old-fashioned way." Throughout the school, lights began failing in sequence as Cooper initiated the purge. In the darkness, Alexandra Vale prepared to face an enemy who knew all her tricks, protected by nothing but skill and instinct. In the darkness of the archive, Catherine's laptop screen cast an eerie glow over the gathered students. The young women had instinctively formed smaller groups, their social dynamics shifting under pressure. The science club members huddled around Catherine, helping her analyze the code running through the school's systems. The athletes positioned themselves near the doors, ready to move if needed. The debate team members were already formulating arguments about their best course of action. "Look at this." Samantha Yuki, the school's top computer science student, pointed at Catherine's screen. "The encryption signature on these files, it's not military or corporate. This is custom work, something I've only read about in theoretical papers." Catherine nodded grimly. "Isabella taught me about this. It's called quantum-resistant encryption. She said it was the future of cybersecurity, but now I understand she was preparing me to recognize it here." "Your mentor," Miss Winters said carefully, "did she ever mention a project called Ghost Protocol during your lessons?" "Not directly, but—" Catherine's fingers flew across the keyboard. "She used to give me puzzles, encryption challenges. Some of the file names had the word ghost in them. I thought it was just a theme, but they were teaching me how to identify and decode specific types of security systems. In the maintenance tunnels, James Chen's team had switched to analog communications, hand signals and preset light patterns. Without the automated systems, they had to rely on methods that couldn't be hacked or intercepted. "Movement in Sector 7, James signaled to his team. "They're herding us away from the central server room." Sarah Chen, still fighting vertigo but back on her feet, noticed something about the raiders' pattern. They're not just pushing us back, they're creating electronic dead zones, spaces where no signals can penetrate, or spaces where something else can operate without being detected, James realized. They're building an invisible corridor straight to the quantum computer. In the kitchen, Chef Marcus had turned the industrial freezer into a command center. His team had changed tactics, using the school's old pneumatic message system, originally installed in the 1950s to coordinate with other groups. "Drake's men are changing formation," he reported via pneumatic capsule. "Small teams, 3 to 4 people, moving in spiral patterns. They're looking for something specific in the walls." Alexandra received the message in her hidden command post. The spiral search pattern was an Isabella signature. She'd developed it during their ghost operations to locate hidden servers. The fact that Drake's men were using it confirmed her worst fears. Isabella hadn't just compromised their systems, she'd given the raiders a complete playbook for breaching ghost-level security. In the server room, Cooper made a startling discovery. As he shut down the automated systems, he found a hidden program running in the background, something that had been dormant for months, possibly years. "Mom," he radioed using a backup analog system, "there's more. The quantum computer. It's been running calculations this entire time. Someone's been using our processing power for something massive." "Can you see what kind of calculations?" "It's all heavily encrypted, but I recognize some markers. They match classified documents about experimental weapons systems, the kind that could target specific genetic markers." The implications hit Alexandra like a physical blow. The weapons tests in Drake's files, Isabella's elaborate infiltration, the quantum computer's hidden processes. They weren't just developing weapons, they were perfecting them, using the school's quantum computer to run simulations that would be illegal on any government or corporate system. "Catherine," she radioed to the archive, "those files you stole from your father, did they mention anything about genetic targeting?" "Yes." Catherine's voice was barely a whisper. "Project Chimera. They were developing weapons that could be programmed to target specific DNA sequences. Isabella made sure those files were right where I would find them." In the darkness of the school corridors, Alexandra heard Drake's voice again. But in time it carried a different tone, urgency rather than confidence. "You don't understand what you're dealing with, Ghost," he called out. "Isabella's playing both sides. Those weapons files, they're not what you think. We're trying to stop her, not help her, by sending an armed team into my school." Alexandra's voice was ice. "Because she forced our hand." Drake's frustration was evident. "She has leverage on everyone involved. My daughter, my company, even you. Why do you think she arranged for Catherine to end up at this specific school? Everything that's happening, it's all part of her endgame." Among the students, a new dynamic was emerging. As the truth about their situation became clearer, they began organizing themselves based on skills rather than social groups. The science students worked on analyzing the technical data, while the athletes and theater students developed plans for possible evacuation scenarios. Maria Santos, using her diplomatic training, had begun mediating between different student factions, keeping panic at bay through structured discussion and planning. Rebecca Chen's debate team skills were being repurposed to analyze and predict possible enemy tactics. "Miss Winters," Maria approached the teacher, "I think we need to consider something. If this Isabella person has been planning this for so Long, what if the archive isn't as safe as everyone thinks? What if we're exactly where she wants us to be? The question hung in the air as the school's last automated systems went dark, leaving them in a silence broken only by the distant sounds of combat. The group dynamics that had emerged would now be tested in ways none of them had imagined, as the true nature of their situation became clear. They weren't just hiding from a threat. They were living through the opening moves of something much bigger. The school's ancient foundation groaned as something deep beneath the surface activated. Alexandra felt it before she heard it, a subtle vibration that shouldn't exist in a building this old. The quantum computer wasn't just running simulations, it was powering up its secondary systems. Temperature spike in the sub-basement. Cooper reported through the analog radio. The cooling systems are failing. If we can't stabilize it. An explosion rocked the building's east wing, cutting off his transmission. This wasn't one of Drake's charges. The sound was different, coming from below rather than above. Steam erupted from old radiators as ancient pipes burst under mysterious pressure. All teams, status report, Alexandra demanded, but only static answered. The analog systems were being disrupted by something far more sophisticated than simple. Signal jamming. In the archive, Catherine's laptop suddenly lit up with new data. "The quantum computer!" she gasped. "It's not just running weapon simulations, it's executing them. The genetic targeting system, it's already active." Miss Winters looked over her shoulder at the screen, her trained eye catching details the students missed. The program wasn't targeting specific genetic markers anymore. It was scanning them, learning, evolving its parameters in real time. Isabella didn't want to steal the computer, Miss Winters realized. She wanted to trap us here with it while it completes its final calibration sequence. The implications struck Catherine like a physical blow. The students, we're the test. Subjects, 23 genetically diverse samples, all confined in a controlled environment. My father's team, the raid, even me finding those files, it was all to get us in this room at this exact moment. Through the walls, a fine mist began seeping into the archive. It wasn't the knockout gas from the school's defense systems. This was something new, something that sparkled faintly under the emergency lights. "Nobody breathes it!" Sarah Chen's voice crackled through a hidden speaker. The demolition expert had recognized the delivery system. "It's a DNA sampler, nanotech. Once it maps your genetic structure, the targeting system can isolate you specifically." Panic threatened to overwhelm the students, but Maria Santos took charge. "Everyone, use your uniform blazers as filters. Theater department, get emergency makeup kits. The setting spray can help seal cloth against particles." Rebecca Chen's debate team had already started organizing students into groups based on their blood types and known genetic conditions, trying to create confusion for the sampling system. But in the maintenance tunnels, Chef Marcus and his team encountered a more immediate crisis. The steam from broken pipes had melted through vital electrical conduits, exposing the true nature of the school's infrastructure. Quantum-shielded cables, military-grade fiber optics, and something else. Biological sensors that were definitely not part of Alexandra's original security system. "Ma'am," Marcus radioed, "Isabella didn't hack our systems. She built her own inside our walls. Been doing it for years. Hiding it behind maintenance requests and renovation projects." Alexandra's mind raced through years of approved repairs and upgrades. The contractor who'd installed the new heating system 3 years ago, the tech company that upgraded their internet infrastructure, the construction team that reinforced the foundation, all of them had been opportunities for Isabella to slowly transform the school into something else entirely. "Cooper, initiate full power shutdown," she ordered. "Everything, even the backup generators." "That'll trap us in here," Cooper warned. "Emergency systems, security doors are probably compromised anyway. Do it." The school plunged into darkness. As Cooper executed the command, For a moment, there was total silence. Then a new sound emerged, a high-pitched whine coming from within the walls themselves. Auxiliary power systems nobody had installed were activating. In the gymnasium, Drake's demo team suddenly changed tactics. Instead of setting charges, they began rolling out what looked like medical equipment. Portable genetic sequences, biological, containment units, and something that made Sarah Chen's blood run cold. Quantum-enhanced biological printers capable of generating targeted viral agents on demand. They're not trying to get in anymore, she realized. They're setting up quarantine zones. Whatever's about to happen here, they want to make sure it doesn't get out. James Chen's maintenance team discovered another problem. The school's water supply had been compromised, not with traditional contaminants, but with microscopic quantum-linked particles designed to track and monitor anyone who'd consumed them. The cafeteria, James radioed. Everything we've eaten or drunk for the past month has been marking us, Alexandra finished, creating a baseline for the targeting system. Isabella didn't just want test subjects. She wanted subjects she could control down to the molecular level. In the archive, Catherine's laptop revealed more of Isabella's plan. The weapons tests weren't just about targeting specific genetic markers. They were about rewriting them. The quantum computer wasn't just running simulations, it was designing an entirely new kind of biological weapon, one that could rewrite human DNA in real time, creating what Isabella's files called quantum-entangled human assets. "She's not trying to kill anyone," Catherine whispered. "She's trying to transform them, create a network of people linked through quantum-altered DNA, people she could control instantly anywhere on the planet." The mist in the archive grew thicker, and students began noticing strange sensations, heightened awareness, unusual synchronization in their movements. The transformation had already begun. Alexandra faced a devastating choice. The quantum computer couldn't be shut down without potentially killing everyone already affected by its influence, but leaving it operational meant Isabella's plan would succeed, using her students as the first nodes in a network of quantum-controlled humans. Through the chaos, Drake's voice came again, this time through an old intercom system Isabella hadn't compromised. "Ghost, the North Wall. There's still one way to stop this, but you won't like it. Remember Buenos Aires?" Alexandra's breath caught. Buenos Aires, their last mission together, where they'd discovered that quantum effects could be disrupted by specific frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. The same frequencies that had accidentally killed 3 members of their team. "If we use that solution," she responded, "everyone in the building will be at risk. The quantum entanglement is too widespread." "Better at risk than guaranteed slaves," Drake countered. "Isabella has to be stopped here, whatever the cost." The real implications of Isabella's plan revealed themselves in cascading waves of horror. In the archive, Samantha Yuki noticed her hand movements synchronizing perfectly with Rebecca Chen's as they both reached for their laptops. Across the room, 3 members of the swim team found themselves breathing in perfect unison. "It's like a hive mind," Maria Santos observed, fighting to maintain her individual thoughts. "But more subtle. We're not losing our personalities. We're just becoming coordinated." Catherine's analysis of her father's files took on new urgency. "Quantum entanglement isn't just affecting our bodies," she explained, her voice strained. "It's creating network nodes in our neural pathways. Every person exposed becomes like a quantum processor linked to every other node." In the maintenance tunnels, James Chen's team discovered something even more disturbing. The biological sensors in the walls weren't just monitoring the quantum changes, they were amplifying them. Each sensor contained a miniature quantum repeater, extending the range of the entanglement effect. "The school isn't just the testing ground," James reported through bursts of static. "It's the broadcast center. Once the transformation is complete, these repeaters could extend the effect across the entire city." Sarah Chen, analyzing the medical equipment Drake's team had deployed, made another chilling discovery. The genetic printers, they're not creating viral agents. They're producing quantum-entangled stem cells. Anyone infected wouldn't just be controlled, they'd be physically transformed at the cellular level. Alexandra's mind raced through the implications. Isabella wasn't just building a network of controlled humans. She was creating a new species, one that could think and act as a single organism while maintaining the appearance of individuality. In the server room, Cooper fought against waves of dizziness as the quantum effects grew stronger. The computer screens around him displayed cascading data streams that seemed to match the rhythm of his thoughts. "Mom," he managed to radio, "the quantum computer, it's not just the processor. The whole building is the computer now. The walls, the pipes, even the wooden beams, they're all conducting quantum information." Through the haze of emerging quantum consciousness, Miss Winters noticed something about the students' transformation. Those with recent injuries or illnesses were changing faster than the others. The quantum entanglement was using their body's natural healing processes to accelerate the conversion. The medical records, she realized. That's why Isabella insisted on digitizing all student health data last year. She was mapping their genetic repair mechanisms. In the gymnasium, Drake's demo team began exhibiting signs of the transformation, despite their protective gear. Their movements became perfectly synchronized, their tactical formations shifting into geometric patterns that seemed to follow some alien mathematics. "The containment units aren't stopping it," Sarah Chen warned. "The quantum effect, it's learning, adapting to our countermeasures in real time." Deep beneath the school, the quantum computer's cooling systems continued to fail, but not from malfunction. They were being deliberately shut down by the transformed maintenance staff, their quantum-linked minds following Isabella's programmed directives without conscious awareness. Alexandra felt the pressure building in her own mind, fragments of others' thoughts, echoes of shared consciousness trying to establish connections. Her ghost training had included mental resistance techniques, but this was different. The quantum linkage wasn't trying to break her will. It was trying to optimize it. "The Buenos Aires option," Drake's voice came again, stronger now. "The electromagnetic pulse would disrupt the quantum bonds, but the sudden severance of quantum-entangled neural pathways could cause permanent damage," Alexandra finished, "or worse." In the archive, Catherine made one final discovery in the files. "There's something else," she called out, her voice fighting against the growing synchronization. Isabella didn't just want to control people. According to these simulations, quantum-entangled humans would be immortal. Their consciousness would exist in the quantum network, even if their physical bodies died. "A quantum afterlife," Miss Winters whispered. "She's not building a network. She's building an eternal kingdom." The transformed students began moving in perfect geometric patterns, their movements creating interference patterns in the quantum field that strengthened the effect throughout the building. They weren't just victims of the transformation. They were becoming part of its transmission mechanism. Alexandra reached for the emergency beacon that would signal Drake's team to initiate the electromagnetic pulse. Her hand shook as quantum influences fought against her decision. Around her, the school she'd built to protect her students was becoming the instrument of their transformation into something beyond human. The choice before her was impossible. Risk destroying the minds of everyone in the building, or allow Isabella's quantum revolution to spread across the city, then the world. The perfect security she'd engineered had become a perfect trap, and time was running out. Through the quantum haze, she heard Isabella's voice, not through any speaker or device, but directly in her mind, through the growing network. "You always tried to protect everyone, Alexandra. But evolution doesn't ask permission. The future is quantum, and it's already here." In the darkness of St. Catherine's Academy, as reality itself seemed to shift towards some new quantum-defined existence, Alexandra Vale prepared to make a decision that would either save humanity's independence or destroy everything she'd sworn to protect. Alexandra's ghost training had prepared her for almost every conceivable scenario, but quantum-enhanced hive minds weren't covered in any manual. As Isabella's consciousness pressed against her mental defenses, she noticed something crucial. The quantum network wasn't completely uniform. It had nodes, weak points, and most importantly, blind spots. Cooper, she radioed through the dying analog system, pulled up the original building blueprints. Not the modern ones, the Victorian ones. "Ma'am," Cooper's voice fought through waves of quantum static. "The lead paint," Alexandra explained. "Victorian buildings use lead-based paint. Quantum signals can't penetrate it. That's why Isabella had to install so many repeaters throughout the building." Understanding dawned in Cooper's quantum-influenced mind. The school's original architecture wasn't just historic, it was accidentally defensive against quantum manipulation. Wherever the original lead paint remained untouched, there would be gaps in Isabella's network. In the archive, Catherine discovered her own way to fight back. "The quantum entanglement," she called out to her increasingly synchronized classmates. "It's based on harmonic resonance between similar genetic patterns. If we deliberately create genetic dissonance," she didn't need to finish. The science students were already distributing emergency glucose tablets from the nurse's office supplies, while the athletes began controlled hyperventilation exercises. Changing their blood chemistry wasn't much, but it created enough genetic static to buy them time. Chef Marcus, fighting through the haze of quantum influence, remembered something about the kitchen's walk-in freezer. "The electromagnetic shielding," he radioed. "Industrial freezers are protected against external fields. They'd block the quantum signals too." Sarah Chen, monitoring the genetic printers Drake's team had deployed, noticed a critical flaw in Isabella's plan. "The transformation isn't just making us quantum-enabled," she reported. "It's making us quantum-dependent. If we can disrupt the field for even a few seconds, the shock would be devastating," Alexandra finished. Unless we could give the transformed mind somewhere else to go." A plan began forming in her quantum-resistant thoughts. The school's computer network wasn't just connected to Isabella's quantum computer. It was connected to every major database Alexandra had access to as a former ghost operative. If they could redirect quantum consciousness, "Catherine," she called through the remaining analog channels, "access code Sierra 9 Ghost. There's a hidden server farm in the Himalayas, completely isolated, quantum-shielded, and large enough to hold our consciousness if you trigger the EMP." Catherine finished, her fingers already flying over her keyboard. "We'd need a quantum tunnel established before the pulse hits." In the maintenance tunnels, James Chen discovered another tactical advantage. The steam from the broken pipes wasn't just random damage, it was creating thermal barriers that the quantum field had trouble penetrating. "Temperature differentials," he reported. "They disrupt the quantum coherence." Alexandra's mind raced with new possibilities. They couldn't stop the transformation entirely, but they could control it, shape it, guide it toward a less catastrophic conclusion. "All teams, new protocol," she broadcast. "Operation Quantum Break." Throughout the school, her remaining free-thinking staff began implementing her desperate strategy. Chef Marcus's team started flooding specific corridors with steam from the kitchen's industrial equipment. The maintenance crew created strategic temperature zones using the building's damaged heating system. In the gymnasium, Sarah Chen reprogrammed the genetic printers, not to stop the transformation, but to modify it. "If we can't prevent quantum evolution," she reasoned, "we can at least try to direct it." The students in the archive, fighting through increasing mental synchronization, are divided into tactical groups. The science team worked on modifying Catherine's quantum tunnel program. The athletes maintained physical disruption through controlled exercise. The theater department, surprisingly, proved crucial in maintaining individual personalities through focused method acting techniques. Quantum consciousness responds to narrative structures, Rebecca Chen discovered. The stronger our personal stories, the more we can resist complete synchronization. Miss Winters, her mind partially linked to the quantum network, began perceiving Isabella's true weakness. She thinks quantum uniformity is evolution, she transmitted to Alexandra. But human consciousness evolved through diversity, through chaos and contradiction. Perfect synchronization isn't an advancement, it's a dead end. Alexandra received this insight just as Drake's team finished setting up their equipment. The EMP isn't our only option, she realized. Isabella's quantum network is based on harmony, on perfect resonance. If we introduce enough chaos, through the quantum haze, she began issuing new orders. The school's remaining systems, the ones Isabella hadn't completely corrupted, were reprogrammed to generate conflicting signals. Each team was assigned a different frequency, a different pattern of movement and thought. Don't fight the quantum connection, she instructed. Overload it. Make it try to synchronize too many contradictory patterns at once. In the server room, Cooper understood. His fingers danced across multiple keyboards, creating cascading waves of conflicting data. The quantum computer tried to harmonize the chaos. Its processing power stretched to its limits. The transformed students and staff, their minds partly merged with Isabella's quantum network, began experiencing something unexpected. Instead of losing their individuality to a perfect collective, they were becoming a symphony of controlled chaos, each consciousness adding its own distinct pattern to the quantum noise. Catherine's quantum tunnel program evolved beyond its original purpose. Instead of just providing an escape route, it became a conduit for focused disorder, drawing power from the Himalayan servers to amplify the controlled chaos in St. Catherine's network. Isabella's plan had one fundamental flaw, Alexandra transmitted through the quantum noise. She assumed quantum consciousness would follow the same rules as quantum particles. But human minds aren't just quantum receivers, they're quantum generators. Throughout the building, transformed students and staff began creating their own quantum frequencies, their merged consciousness becoming not a uniform field but a storm of individual quantum signatures. The network tried to harmonize them all and began to buckle under the strain. Deep beneath the school, Isabella's quantum computer encountered an error it couldn't resolve. The quantum field wasn't achieving the perfect synchronization its programs demanded. Instead, it was becoming something new, a quantum democracy where each entangled mind contributed its own unique pattern to the whole. Alexandra felt the change rippling through the quantum network. Isabella's control was slipping, not through brute force disruption, but through an evolution she hadn't anticipated. The quantum transformation couldn't be stopped, but it could be shaped by the very diversity she had tried to erase. All teams, Alexandra broadcast through both quantum and analog channels, prepare for Phase 2. We're not going to shut down the quantum network. We're going to transform it into something else entirely. Maria Santos, drawing on her diplomatic training, discovered another layer to their quantum resistance. In negotiations, perfect agreement often signals coercion, she explained through the quantum noise. Real consensus emerges from managed disagreement. Working with the debate team, she began organizing the transformed students into deliberately opposing groups, each maintaining different thought patterns and physical rhythms. The quantum network struggled to synchronize these intentionally discordant elements. In the kitchen, Chef Marcus found an unexpected ally in chaos theory. The industrial mixers, running at different speeds, created overlapping vibrations that interfered with quantum coherence. He set up a cascade of kitchen equipment, each operating at precise frequencies. "It's like cooking," he transmitted through the quantum haze. "Too many identical ingredients make a bland dish. You need contrasting flavors, different textures." Sarah Chen's work with the genetic printers revealed another crucial discovery. "Quantum transformation isn't just affecting our minds," she reported. "It's creating new neural pathways, quantum-sensitive synapses. But these pathways are like muscles. They can be trained." This insight led to a breakthrough in resistance tactics. The theater students, under Miss Winter's guidance, began practicing rapid-fire personality shifts. Switching between different characters created quantum static that disrupted the network's harmonization attempts. James Chen's maintenance team, working in the temperature-controlled zones they'd created, found they could temporarily boost their resistance by moving between hot and cold areas. "The thermal shock," he explained, "it's like rebooting our quantum connections." Each transition creates a moment of clarity. Catherine, still working on the quantum tunnel program, discovered something unprecedented in the data streams. "The quantum network," she called out. "It's not just connecting our minds, it's creating a new kind of space, a quantum dimension, where consciousness exists independently of physical location." This revelation changed their entire approach. Instead of fighting the quantum transformation or trying to redirect it, they could expand it, creating a quantum environment too complex for any single consciousness to control. Alexandra coordinated these emerging strategies from her position in the old lead-painted corridors. "Each team chooses a distinct mathematical pattern," she instructed. "Fibonacci sequences, prime numbers, fractal progressions, anything that can't be easily harmonized." The science students began calculating and distributing different mathematical series to each group. The athletes translated these patterns into physical movements, creating kinetic interference in the quantum field. The music students, part of the early study program, contributed by humming discordant frequencies that somehow affected quantum coherence. Rebecca Chen, her debate training merging with quantum insights, developed a technique she called a quantum rhetoric, deliberately paradoxical arguments that created logical loops in the network's synchronization attempts. "It's like a mental denial of service attack," she explained. "We're overloading the quantum network's ability to resolve contradictions." In the server room, Cooper discovered that each person's quantum signature had a unique emotional component. "The network isn't just processing thoughts," he reported. "It's trying to synchronize feelings. If we deliberately cycle through contrasting emotional states." This led to the theater department's most ambitious performance, an improvised, emotional symphony, with different students projecting different feelings into the quantum field. The network's attempts to harmonize joy, anger, sadness, and excitement created ripples of quantum instability. Miss Winters, monitoring the students' vital signs, noticed something remarkable. "They're brainwave patterns," she observed. "They're not chaotic, they're polyphonic. Like a quantum orchestra, each mind plays its own distinct part in a larger composition." Through the quantum noise, Alexandra received fragments of Isabella's growing frustration. The perfect quantum harmony she'd planned was dissolving into something far more complex and uncontrollable. "You can't fight evolution." Isabella's thoughts echoed through the network. "We're not fighting it," Alexandra responded through the quantum link. "We're teaching it to dance." The quantum transformation continued throughout the school, but it was no longer following Isabella's rigid blueprint. Instead, it was becoming a new kind of consciousness, a quantum democracy where unity emerged from carefully managed chaos. Sarah, Jen's genetic printers, now reprogrammed with this new understanding, began producing quantum-entangled proteins that enhanced neural plasticity without enforcing synchronization. The transformed students and staff found they could slip in and out of the quantum network at will, maintaining their individuality while accessing the collective quantum consciousness. It's not about resistance anymore, Catherine realized, watching the quantum data streams evolve. It's about collaboration, not perfect harmony, but perfect balance between chaos and order. Drake's team, monitoring the transformation from their quarantine equipment, registered unprecedented patterns of quantum activity. The EMP option was still available, but it was becoming clear that they'd stumbled upon something far more significant than just a defense against Isabella's plan. The quantum network, Alexandra transmitted to all teams, isn't just a tool for control. It's a new medium for human consciousness. And like any medium, it's shaped by the messages we choose to send through it. Throughout St. Catherine's Academy, as the quantum transformation reached its peak, a new kind of order emerged from the deliberate chaos. Each mind remained distinct, each consciousness maintained its unique pattern, but all were connected in a complex dance of quantum interaction that no single will could dominate. The hunter had evolved beyond mere tactical thinking, finding a way to transform the very nature of the trap into something its creator never imagined. In the quantum realm, as in nature, true strength emerged not from uniformity, but from the delicate balance between unity and diversity. Isabella's response to their quantum rebellion came not as an attack, but as a seduction. The quantum network suddenly filled with visions of perfect futures, idealized versions of reality where all human conflict had been eliminated through collective consciousness. Each person experienced their deepest desires fulfilled through quantum harmony. She's trying to tempt us back into synchronization, Alexandra warned through their newly established quantum chorus. Stay focused on your individual patterns. But Isabella's assault was more subtle than mere temptation. The quantum network began highlighting the painful memories and private fears of everyone connected to it. Every failure, every moment of doubt, every hidden shame became amplified, accompanied by the promise of relief through perfect quantum unity. Catherine, fighting through the psychological onslaught, discovered her father's true role in events. Through the quantum link, she accessed memories that weren't her own, Drake's desperate attempts to stop Isabella's plan without revealing his own complicity in its creation. The weapons research, she transmitted to Alexandra, was never meant to be weaponized. They were developing quantum medical technology, ways to cure genetic diseases through quantum manipulation of DNA. But Isabella saw the potential for something more. In the kitchen, Chef Marcus and his team faced a different kind of attack. The quantum network began interfering with their basic motor functions, making coordinated movement nearly impossible unless they accepted full synchronization. But Marcus, drawing on decades of muscle memory, found a solution. Don't fight the interference, he instructed his team. Flow with it, like water around rocks. Let your body remember its own rhythms. The maintenance tunnels became a battleground of competing realities as Isabella's quantum projections tried to convince James Chen's team that they were trapped in endless, identical corridors. The quantum network played with their spatial perception, making every turn seem to lead back to the same point. She's using our fear of being lost, James realized, but we know this building better than she does. Trust your hands, not your eyes. Feel the variations in the pipes, the different textures of the walls. Sarah Chen, working with the genetic printers, made a startling discovery about Isabella's quantum architecture. The network isn't just connecting minds, she reported. It's creating quantum entanglements between specific memories, trying to build a shared historical narrative that she controls. This insight proved crucial as Miss Winters developed a new defensive strategy. The students began actively sharing their memories through the quantum link, but not the sanitized versions Isabella tried to impose. They shared messy, complicated, real memories. First kisses that went wrong, family fights that led to understanding, failures that became learning experiences. Human consciousness isn't built on perfection, Miss Winters transmitted. It's built on how we process imperfection. Cooper, monitoring the quantum data streams from the server room, detected Isabella attempting to isolate and eliminate these contradictory memory patterns. But each time she tried to impose uniformity, the students' shared experiences created new quantum pathways she couldn't control. Rebecca Chen's debate team turned their attention to challenging Isabella's fundamental assumptions. Through the quantum network, they began introducing philosophical paradoxes that created ripples of uncertainty in her carefully structured reality. If perfect unity is the ideal, they argued into the quantum void, then why did consciousness evolve towards individuality in the first place? What's the evolutionary advantage of diverse perspectives? The theater students, led by Maria Santos, began performing improvised scenarios that illustrated the creative power of conflict and disagreement. Their quantum projections showed histories where great innovations emerged from the clash of different ideas, where art and science flourished because of, not despite, human diversity. Alexandra, watching these various forms of resistance emerge, recognized a pattern. Isabella's quantum network wasn't failing because they were fighting it. It was failing because they were using it more creatively than she had imagined possible. Through the quantum link, she sensed Isabella's growing confusion. The perfect system she had designed was evolving beyond her control, incorporating elements of chaos and contradiction that she had tried to eliminate. Your quantum evolution is flawed, Alexandra projected into the network. You're trying to force consciousness into a single pattern, but consciousness isn't just about information, it's about interpretation. And interpretation requires difference. In the archive, Catherine's work with the Quantum Tunnel program revealed another layer of Isabella's vulnerability. The quantum network, she explained, it's based on her understanding of consciousness. But she's working from an outdated model, trying to impose computer logic on quantum biology. The students, now working in harmony while maintaining their distinct quantum signatures, began introducing organic patterns into the network, growth spirals, mutation rates, the mathematical chaos of natural systems. Isabella's rigid quantum architecture struggled to process these unpredictable elements. Drake's team, monitoring the transformation from their quarantine perimeter, registered unprecedented levels of quantum complexity. The network wasn't collapsing, but it wasn't achieving Isabella's planned uniformity either. Instead, it was evolving into something entirely new, a quantum ecosystem where consciousness could exist in multiple states simultaneously. She never understood, Drake transmitted to Alexandra through their old ghost communication protocols. Quantum entanglement doesn't have to mean quantum control. You can have a connection without conformity. Throughout St. Catherine's Academy, the transformed students and staff began experiencing a new kind of unity. Not the forced harmony of Isabella's design, but a dynamic balance between individual identity and collective consciousness. Each mind remained distinct while contributing to a greater whole, like instruments in an orchestra playing different parts of the same symphony. Sarah Chen's genetic printers, now fully reprogrammed, began producing quantum-entangled proteins that enhance this natural evolution. Instead of enforcing synchronization, they supported neural plasticity, allowing each transformed mind to develop its own unique relationship with the quantum network. We're not just resisting the transformation anymore, Alexandra realized. We're teaching it how to grow naturally, how to incorporate diversity instead of eliminating it. Isabella's perfect quantum kingdom was dissolving, not into chaos, but into something far more beautiful, a quantum democracy where unity emerged from the free interaction of distinct consciousness, each contributing its own unique pattern. To the greater quantum dance, the hunter had become more than just a protector of individual minds. She had become a guide, showing both her students and their would-be controller a path toward a future where quantum evolution enhanced rather than erased human diversity. The transformation of St. Catherine's Academy continued, but now with an unexpected development. As Isabella's perfect quantum synchronization fractured, the building itself began responding to the new patterns of consciousness emerging within it. The Victorian architecture, with its lead paint and ancient pipes, wasn't just blocking quantum signals, it was channeling them in ways Isabella hadn't anticipated. The school is becoming a quantum amplifier, Cooper realized, watching the data stream shift, but not for a single consciousness, for all of them. In the art studio, a group of students discovered that their paintings were creating quantum interference patterns, each brushstroke guided by individual creativity rather than collective control, sent ripples through Isabella's network. The quantum field struggled to harmonize the unpredictable expressions of artistic freedom. Art isn't just decoration, one student transmitted through the quantum chorus. It's proof that uniformity isn't the highest form of evolution. The music room became another node of creative resistance. Students who had been practicing for the upcoming spring concert found that their instruments affected the quantum field in unexpected ways. Different melodies, played simultaneously, created complex quantum harmonies that Isabella's systems couldn't resolve. Music theory, Miss Winters observed. It's all about the relationship between order and chaos, harmony and discord, just like consciousness itself. In the chemistry lab, Sarah Chen's investigation of the quantum transformation revealed something extraordinary. Quantum proteins aren't just affecting our brains, she reported. They're creating new kinds of neural networks throughout our bodies. Our entire nervous systems are becoming quantum sensitive. This discovery led to a breakthrough in their resistance. The athletic students, working with their enhanced nervous systems, developed a form of quantum-enhanced movement that combined individual skill with collective awareness. Each person moved independently while maintaining a perfect awareness of everyone else's position and intention. It's like a dance, Maria Santos explained, but one where every dancer creates their own steps while staying in perfect rhythm with the whole. Drake's team, observing from their perimeter, began registering quantum signatures they'd never seen before. The transformed students weren't just resisting Isabella's control, they were creating new forms of quantum interaction that exceeded the original program's parameters. She designed the system to enforce unity, Drake transmitted to Alexandra, but these kids, they're teaching it to embrace diversity. Catherine, delving deeper into the quantum data streams, uncovered the true scope of Isabella's plan. A quantum network, she explained. It wasn't just meant for human consciousness. She was trying to create a quantum template for all life on Earth, a way to force evolution itself to follow her perfect pattern. This revelation gave their resistance new urgency. They weren't just fighting for their own independence, they were preventing a fundamental alteration of life itself. In the library, Rebecca Chen's debate team made another crucial discovery. The quantum network wasn't just transmitting thoughts and memories, it was trying to standardize the very process of thinking. But their trained ability to argue multiple sides of an issue created quantum patterns that resisted standardization. Critical thinking, Rebecca transmitted. It's not just about finding the right answer. It's about understanding why different answers might be valid. The maintenance tunnels became channels for what James Chen called quantum counterpoint, deliberate patterns of thought and movement that created constructive interference in Isabella's network. His team developed a way of working that looked chaotic but produced perfectly coordinated results. Efficiency doesn't always mean doing things the same way, he explained through the quantum chorus. Sometimes the most efficient system is one that allows for multiple approaches. Chef Marcus, still coordinating defense from the kitchen, found that even taste and smell had quantum properties. Different flavors created distinct patterns in the quantum field, and the combination of various cooking aromas produced interference patterns that disrupted Isabella's attempts at synchronization. Cuisine is about contrast, he transmitted. A perfect meal isn't made of identical flavors. It's made of flavors that complement and challenge each other. Miss Winters, monitoring the students' quantum signatures, noticed an emerging pattern. Each person's resistance to synchronization was strengthening not just their own quantum identity, but everyone else's as well. The more distinctly individual they became, the stronger their collective connection grew. It's like an immune system response, she realized. Each unique pattern makes the whole system more robust. Alexandra, coordinating these various forms of resistance, began to understand the true flaw in Isabella's plan. She hadn't just underestimated human resilience. She had fundamentally misunderstood the nature of consciousness itself. Consciousness isn't a single pattern to be optimized, she projected into the quantum network. It's an endless process of pattern creation and dissolution. The moment you try to freeze it into a perfect form, it stops being conscious at all. Through the quantum chorus, she sensed Isabella's growing frustration. The perfect system she had designed was being transformed by the very minds it was meant to control. Each attempt to impose uniformity only led to new forms of diversity. In the archive, Catherine's quantum tunnel program evolved into something unexpected. Instead of just creating an escape route, it became a conduit for new quantum possibilities. The connection to the Himalayan servers wasn't just providing additional processing power. It was introducing elements of quantum randomness that made the network more robust, more alive. Isabella tried to eliminate chaos from the quantum realm, Catherine transmitted. But chaos isn't the enemy of order, it's the source of new order. Without it, evolution itself would stop. Throughout St. Catherine's Academy, as the quantum transformation reached new levels of complexity, a profound truth emerged. Unity didn't require uniformity. Connection didn't demand conformity. The very diversity Isabella had tried to eliminate was becoming the foundation of a deeper, more meaningful form of quantum consciousness. The hunter had become more than a protector of individual minds. She had become a midwife to a new form of evolution, one that preserved and celebrated the beautiful chaos of human consciousness, even as it transcended traditional biological limits. The weather shifted without warning. Dark clouds gathered above St. Catherine's Academy as Isabella activated her final contingency plan. The quantum network wasn't just affecting minds anymore. It was beginning to influence the physical environment itself. Quantum effects, bleeding into macro-scale phenomena, Sarah Chen reported, watching ice crystals form in impossible patterns across the laboratory windows. She's using the quantum field to manipulate atmospheric conditions. The temperature plummeted as quantum-enhanced storm clouds generated localized weather patterns. Snow began falling, but not normal snow. Each flake contained quantum-entangled water molecules that resonated with Isabella's network. She's trying to force synchronization through environmental pressure, Alexandra realized. If we're all fighting the same external threat. But the students' quantum evolution had progressed beyond simple manipulation. The theater department, drawing on their stage experience with artificial weather effects, began studying the quantum storm's patterns. They discovered that the snowfall followed predictable sequences, like a choreographed performance. "It's too perfect," Maria Santos observed. "Natural weather has chaos elements. This is—" She paused, watching the snow swirl in geometric patterns. "This is more like stage direction." In the maintenance tunnels, James Chen's team faced a new crisis. The quantum-influenced weather was affecting the building's ancient heating system. Steam pipes groaned under impossible pressure as temperatures fluctuated wildly between sections of the building. The thermal stress could breach containment, James warned through the quantum chorus. "If these pipes rupture—" But Chef Marcus, monitoring conditions from the kitchen, saw an opportunity in the chaos. "Temperature differentials," he transmitted. "We can use them to create convection currents, natural airflow patterns that disrupt her quantum field." The science students, led by Catherine, began analyzing the quantum properties of the storm. Each snowflake carried a minute amount of quantum information, attempting to synchronize with the transformed minds inside the building. But the very precision of Isabella's weather control became its weakness. "Natural systems thrive on imperfection," Catherine explained through the quantum link. "By making the storm too perfect, she's actually making it more vulnerable to disruption." The athletic students, their bodies now partially quantum-enhanced, discovered they could influence the micro-weather patterns around them through coordinated movement. Their training in rhythm and balance created interference patterns in the quantum-controlled atmosphere, like Tai Chi masters influencing energy flows, Rebecca Chen observed, watching her classmates move through practiced forms that sent ripples through the quantum field. Drake's team, their quarantine equipment struggling against the artificial weather, detected another problem. The quantum storm wasn't just affecting the academy. It was beginning to spread, its influence reaching toward the nearby town. "She's using the weather as a transmission vector," Drake warned Alexandra. "If these patterns reach populated areas—" But the school's Victorian architecture once again proved unexpectedly resilient. The old lead paint, the copper roofing, even the iron oxide in the red bricks, all began interacting with the quantum field in ways Isabella hadn't anticipated. "The building itself is fighting back," Cooper reported from the server room, watching quantum readings fluctuate. "All these different materials, each with their own electromagnetic properties, they're creating natural quantum noise." Miss Winters, working with the music students, made another crucial discovery. The quantum-enhanced storm had acoustic properties. Each snowflake, each ice crystal, resonated at specific frequencies that contributed to Isabella's control pattern. "But we can change the song," she realized, directing students to position themselves at key points throughout the building. Their voices, raised in deliberately discordant harmonies, began disrupting the quantum atmospheric synchronization. Sarah Chen's analysis of the storm revealed its true purpose. "The quantum-entangled precipitation," she explained, "it's not just trying to influence us, it's trying to rewrite the environment itself, create a world that naturally enforces quantum synchronization." This revelation sparked a new form of resistance. The Garden Club, of all groups, recognized that the school's greenhouse provided a template for environmental resilience. The plants there, each following their own growth patterns while contributing to the overall ecosystem, demonstrated nature's preference for diversity over uniformity. "Life doesn't standardize," one student transmitted through the quantum chorus. "It specializes, adapts, finds new niches." Alexandra, coordinating the various response teams, saw Isabella's strategy clearly now. Unable to force direct quantum synchronization, she was trying to make the physical world itself hostile to independence. But in doing so, she had overextended her control, trying to impose quantum order on systems that naturally resisted it. Through the quantum link, Alexandra sensed Isabella's growing frustration. The storm intensified, temperatures dropped further, and the quantum field pulsed with renewed attempts at synchronization, but each push toward perfect order only generated new forms of creative chaos. In the archive, Catherine's quantum tunnel program revealed something unexpected about the storm's architecture. The quantum atmospheric control, she reported, it's creating strange attractors in the weather patterns, chaos theory in action. The maintenance team, working with the science students, began mapping these chaos points. Each represented a vulnerability in Isabella's control system, a place where her perfect quantum order broke down into natural turbulence. We don't need to fight the whole storm, James Chen realized. We just need to amplify the chaos that's already there. The theater department, under Maria Santos's direction, began staging improvisational performances that mimicked and magnified these chaos patterns. Their movements, voices, and emotions created ripples in the quantum atmospheric field, introducing elements of uncertainty that Isabella's system couldn't resolve. Chef Marcus's kitchen team discovered that steam from cooking created localized, atmospheric effects that interfered with the quantum storm. They began preparing elaborate meals, not just for sustenance, but as a form of environmental resistance. Cooking is chemistry, Marcus transmitted, and chemistry is just quantum physics with better flavors. Throughout St. Catherine's Academy, as the quantum storm raged outside and temperatures swung between extremes, a new kind of environmental adaptation emerged. The transformed students and staff weren't just resisting Isabella's weather control, they were learning to thrive in the quantum chaos she had created. Alexandra watched through various monitoring systems as her school demonstrated a truth Isabella had never grasped. Real resilience comes not from imposing order, but from embracing and adapting to disorder. The hunter had learned this lesson through years of tracking quarry through unpredictable conditions. Now her students were learning it through direct quantum experience. The quantum storm's influence began seeping into unexpected corners of St. Catherine's Academy. In the library, ancient leather-bound books started responding to the quantum atmospheric changes. Pages rustled with impossible breezes, and ink seemed to shift and flow as the quantum field interacted with centuries-old printing compounds. The books, Rebecca Chen noticed first, they're absorbing quantum information. The iron gall ink used in old manuscripts, it's becoming quantum sensitive. This discovery led to an unprecedented form of resistance. The library, with its thousands of books containing different types of ink from different eras, became a quantum interference generator. Each page, each chemical composition created its own minute disruption in Isabella's atmospheric control. Stories. Fighting back against forced synchronization, Miss Winters observed. How appropriately literary. In the school's underground tunnel system, James Chen's team encountered a new phenomenon. The quantum storm was creating pressure differentials that defied normal physics. Air moved in impossible patterns, forming micro-vortexes that carried in quantum-encoded information. The tunnels are becoming quantum waveguides, Sarah Chen realized, analyzing the airflow patterns. But they're not just transmitting her control signals, they're distorting them. The old tunnels, with their irregular shapes and varying materials, transformed Isabella's precise quantum instructions into something more chaotic. Each bend, each change in tunnel diameter, each different construction material added its own variation to the quantum signal. Above ground, the athletic field became a battlefield of competing weather patterns. The quantum storm tried to impose perfect geometric snowfall, but the ground itself fought back. Years of athletic activity had left the field packed with minerals from human sweat, creating a naturally occurring quantum-resistant zone. Biological residue, Catherine explained, examining soil samples. Our own cellular material, left behind during practices and games. It's creating a kind of quantum memory in the ground itself. The school's ancient bell tower revealed another layer of environmental resistance. The bronze bell, with its complex metallurgical composition, began resonating with the quantum field in unexpected ways. Each toll sent ripples through Isabella's carefully constructed atmospheric patterns. Sound waves and quantum waves, Maria Santos observed. They're interfering constructively and destructively. The bell isn't just making noise, it's making quantum noise. In the art studio, students discovered that different pigments responded differently to the quantum-enhanced weather. Classical pigments, made from ground minerals and organic compounds, created their own microfields that disrupted the larger quantum pattern. Every color has its own quantum signature, one student transmitted through the chorus. We're painting with quantum interference. Chef Marcus's kitchen experiments took on new significance as they discovered that different cooking methods affected the quantum field differently. Open flames created quantum thermal disruptions, while fermentation processes generated their own forms of quantum chaos. The quantum field responds to chemical changes, he reported. Every recipe becomes a formula for disruption. The greenhouse provided another surprise. Plants, already masters of quantum effects through photosynthesis, began exhibiting accelerated adaptation to the quantum storm. Each species responded differently, creating a botanical quantum cacophony that Isabella's systems couldn't harmonize. "Life finds a way," Sarah Chen quoted, watching quantum readings from different plant species, and apparently it finds many different ways. Drake's team, monitoring from their perimeter, detected a new pattern in the quantum weather. The storm wasn't just trying to enforce synchronization, it was trying to establish a new kind of quantum ecosystem, one where every environmental factor reinforced Isabella's control. "She's not just changing the weather," Drake warned. "She's trying to change the rules of nature itself." But the very complexity of natural systems proved resistant to such control. The school's ecosystem, from the smallest soil bacteria to the largest oak trees, demonstrated that true environmental harmony comes from diversity, not uniformity. The music room became a center for atmospheric manipulation as students discovered that different instruments created different quantum interference patterns. Brass instruments, with their complex harmonics, proved particularly effective at disrupting the quantum-enhanced snowfall. "Music isn't just sound," Miss Winters explained. "It's organized chaos, mathematical yet unpredictable. Everything Isabella's quantum control can't handle." In the swimming pool, another front opened in their environmental resistance. The water, with its natural quantum properties, began generating its own interference patterns. Students practicing their strokes found they could create quantum ripples that spread through Isabella's atmospheric control. "Water memory," Catherine theorized, monitoring the pool's quantum signature. "It's not just pseudoscience anymore. The quantum field is making it literal." Alexandra, coordinating these various environmental responses, recognized a fundamental truth about Isabella's strategy. By trying to control the environment completely, she had actually made it more susceptible to natural chaos. Every attempt to impose perfect order only created new opportunities for disorder to emerge. Through the quantum chorus, she sensed Isabella's growing awareness of this paradox. The more precisely she tried to control the weather, the more variables she had to manage, and each new variable introduced new possibilities for chaos. "You can't control nature," Alexandra projected into the quantum network. "You can only learn to work with its inherent complexity." Throughout St. Catherine's Academy, as the quantum storm raged and environmental conditions continued to fluctuate, students and staff discovered that true adaptation meant embracing rather than resisting change. Each new environmental challenge became an opportunity to demonstrate that diversity, not uniformity, was the key to survival. The Hunters' School had become more than just a battlefield. It had become a living laboratory, demonstrating the power of environmental adaptation through quantum diversity. In trying to force nature to conform to her perfect pattern, Isabella had instead awakened nature's inherent resistance to conformity. Through the quantum network, Alexandra sensed a sudden shift in Isabella's presence. The perfectly controlled patterns became erratic, almost desperate. Something had changed, not in the school, but in Isabella's own quantum signature. "She's losing cohesion," Cooper reported from the server room. "Her quantum pattern, it's starting to fragment." Catherine's analysis revealed the truth. The quantum transformation, she transmitted through the chorus. "It didn't start with us. Isabella was the first test subject. She's been quantum enhanced for years, and now the enhancement is failing." Sarah Chen finished, studying the biomedical readings. "The human mind isn't meant to maintain perfect quantum coherence indefinitely. She's experiencing quantum decoherence on a cognitive level." This revelation changed everything. Isabella's desperate attempt to synchronize others wasn't just about control, it was about survival. Her own quantum consciousness was unraveling, and she needed the collective quantum field to maintain her coherence. In the archive, Miss Winters noticed something in the students' quantum signatures. "Look at how our patterns stabilize each other," she pointed out. "By maintaining our individuality while staying connected, we're actually creating a more stable quantum network than Isabella's forced synchronization." Drake's voice came through. "The old ghost communication channel. That's why she needed Catherine's files. The weapon research, it wasn't just about control. It was about finding a way to prevent quantum decoherence in enhanced humans." The implications hit Alexandra like a physical blow. Isabella hadn't gone rogue out of mere ambition. She was fighting against the dissolution of her own consciousness, trying to create a quantum network stable enough to prevent her own disintegration. But her solution was fundamentally flawed. By forcing others into quantum synchronization, she was replicating the very pattern that was failing in her own mind. Perfect harmony was proving to be perfectly unstable. "We need to reach her," Alexandra decided. "Not fight her, help her." The theatre students, led by Maria Santos, began projecting empathetic quantum signatures toward Isabella's fragmenting consciousness. Instead of resistance, they offered understanding, emotional harmonies that acknowledged her fear without accepting. "Her solution, it's like performing a tragedy," Maria explained. "You don't try to fix the character's pain. You witness it, share it, transform it through understanding." In the science lab, Catherine and Sarah Chen made a breakthrough. "The quantum proteins we've been studying," Sarah reported, "they're not just allowing quantum consciousness. They're enabling quantum emotional processing. Feelings aren't just chemical anymore, they're quantum events." This insight led to a new approach. Instead of maintaining purely rational quantum patterns, the students began incorporating emotional elements into their quantum chorus. Fear, hope, anger, joy. Each feeling created its own quantum signature, contributing to a more complex and stable network. "Emotional quantum entanglement," Rebecca Chen observed. "It's not about thinking in sync, it's about feeling connected while remaining distinct." The maintenance team, monitoring the building's quantum infrastructure, detected something unprecedented. The quantum field wasn't just carrying conscious thoughts and emotions, it was beginning to reflect unconscious mental patterns, dreams, intuitions. "The quantum network is tapping into the collective unconscious," James Chen reported, "not controlling it, but expressing it." Chef Marcus, whose quantum signature carried years of experience in balancing flavors and textures, recognized a pattern. "It's like cooking," he transmitted. "Too much of any one ingredient ruins the dish. Perfect balance requires imperfect elements." Through the quantum chorus, Alexandra began composing a message to Isabella, not in words or thoughts, but in quantum emotional patterns that acknowledged her fear of dissolution while offering an alternative to forced synchronization. "Your consciousness is quantum enhanced," she projected, "but quantum consciousness doesn't require quantum control. Look at how we've evolved, each mind distinct but connected, creating stability through diversity." Drake's team, their quantum monitoring equipment, detecting the exchange, registered something extraordinary. Isabella's fragmenting quantum pattern began to stabilize, not through enforced coherence, but through resonance with the complex quantum chorus emerging from St. Catherine's. "She's responding," Cooper reported. "Her quantum signature is shifting, becoming less rigid, more adaptive." In the library, the quantum-sensitive books began reflecting this change. Pages turned on their own, but no longer in perfect synchronization. Instead, they moved in complex patterns that somehow maintained overall harmony while expressing individual variations. "Like jazz," Miss Winters observed. "Structure emerging from improvisation." The theater department, drawing on their training in method acting, began projecting scenarios into the quantum field, possible futures where quantum consciousness enhanced rather than erased human individuality. Each vision was different, personal, yet somehow contributing to a larger shared narrative. Isabella's presence in the quantum network shifted again. Her attempts at control weakened, replaced by something more tentative: curiosity. Through the quantum link, Alexandra sensed her former colleague struggling to understand this new paradigm. "You're not alone," Alexandra projected, "but you're not meant to be synchronized either. True quantum consciousness isn't about perfect harmony. It's about perfect balance between unity and diversity." Catherine's quantum tunnel program, still connected to the Himalayan servers, began registering new patterns. "The quantum field," she reported, "it's not just stabilizing, it's evolving, creating new kinds of quantum relationships that we never imagined." In the midst of this quantum revolution, Sarah Chen made another crucial discovery. "The quantum proteins in our systems," she announced, "they're not just preventing decoherence like Isabella's version, they're actually learning from it, using moments of quantum uncertainty to generate new patterns." Throughout St. Catherine's Academy, the transformed students and staff began experiencing a new kind of quantum awareness. Instead of the rigid synchronization Isabella had tried to impose, they found themselves part of a living quantum ecosystem, where each consciousness contributed its own unique frequency to the greater harmony. The hunter had found a way, not just to save her students, but to save Isabella from her own fearful solution. In trying to prevent the dissolution of her quantum consciousness, Isabella had nearly destroyed the very thing that made consciousness worthwhile: the beautiful chaos of individual experience. Through the quantum chorus of St. Catherine's Academy, a new understanding began to emerge. The future of human consciousness wouldn't be found in perfect synchronization or complete independence, but in the delicate balance between connection and individuality, unity and diversity, order and chaos. The quantum breakthrough brought another unexpected revelation. In the school's modest chapel, rarely used except for special occasions, the stained glass windows began interacting with the quantum field in unique ways. Each colored pane created its own quantum frequency, turning sunlight into a spectrum of quantum information. Sacred geometry, Maria Santos realized, studying the patterns. The medieval artisans who designed these windows, they were accidentally creating quantum resonance chambers. The discovery sparked a new understanding of Isabella's condition. Through the quantum network, Alexandra sensed memories that weren't her own. Isabella's first experiences with quantum enhancement, the initial euphoria of expanded consciousness, followed by the creeping terror of feeling that consciousness begin to unravel. She was trying to rebuild herself, Catherine transmitted, analyzing the fragments of quantum memory. Every time her quantum coherence slipped, she added more controls, more synchronization, like a drowning person grabbing anything that floats. In the school's music room, students found that certain musical harmonies could temporarily stabilize Isabella's fragmenting quantum pattern. The physics behind it was complex, but the emotional truth was simple. Music, with its mathematical structure and emotional content, provided a bridge between classical and quantum consciousness. "It's not just about the notes," Miss Winters observed, watching quantum readings stabilize during an impromptu concert. "It's about the space between them, the silence that gives the sound meaning." Sarah Chen's ongoing analysis of the quantum transformation revealed another layer of Isabella's tragedy. Her version of quantum enhancement was too perfect, she explained. No quantum noise, no uncertainty, no room for natural variation. She created a system that couldn't evolve. Drake's team, monitoring from their perimeter, began detecting new patterns in Isabella's quantum signature. "She's not just broadcasting control signals anymore," Drake reported. "She's listening, really listening, maybe for the first time since her enhancement." The theater department, under Maria's guidance, began incorporating this new understanding into their quantum projections. Instead of just offering alternative futures, they started sharing memories of their own failures, doubts, and recoveries, showing how imperfection and uncertainty led to growth. "Every great character has flaws," Maria transmitted through the quantum chorus. "That's what makes them human, what makes them able to change." In the greenhouse, the quantum-enhanced plants provided another insight. Sarah Chen noticed that plants showing signs of stress actually developed more robust quantum connections than those growing in perfect conditions. "Adaptation requires challenge," she reported. Isabella's perfect synchronization didn't just prevent chaos, it prevented evolution. The maintenance team discovered that the school's old heating system, with its irregular patterns of steam and condensation, created natural quantum fluctuations that somehow help stabilize human quantum signatures. "It's like a quantum immune system," James Chen explained. "The small disruptions keep the larger pattern flexible, adaptable." Through the quantum link, Alexandra began sharing her own memories with Isabella, not just their missions together, but the years after, when she'd learned to build something new from the ashes of her old life. "Remember Buenos Aires?" she projected. "We survived because we adapted, because we could change plans when everything went wrong." Perfect systems are perfectly vulnerable. Real strength comes from being able to bend without breaking. The science students, led by Catherine, started mapping the quantum emotional patterns emerging from their collective consciousness. They found that negative emotions, fear, anger, doubt, weren't disrupting the quantum field as Isabella had assumed. Instead, they were essential parts of its stability. "Quantum consciousness isn't about being perfect," Catherine transmitted. "It's about being complete." In the archive, Miss Winters noticed something remarkable about the students' quantum signatures. Those who had struggled most with their transformation were now showing the most stable quantum patterns. Their resistance wasn't weakness, she realized. It was their minds naturally seeking the right balance between quantum and classical consciousness. Chef Marcus, working with his kitchen team, found another metaphor for Isabella's condition. "In cooking, you don't want ingredients to completely blend together," he transmitted. "You want them to enhance each other while keeping their distinct flavors." The quantum chorus of St. Catherine's began to shift, becoming not just a means of communication, but a kind of quantum therapy session. Each mind contributed its own experiences of struggle and adaptation, creating a template for how quantum consciousness could work without sacrificing individuality. Isabella's presence in the network changed again. Her rigid quantum patterns began to show signs of natural variation, like a frozen river beginning to thaw. Through the quantum link, Alexandra sensed something she hadn't felt from her old colleague in years: uncertainty, but also relief. The perfect pattern, Isabella's thoughts came through the quantum chorus. It was like a cage. I thought I was evolving beyond human consciousness, but I was actually trapping myself in a smaller and smaller space. The hunter had become more than a protector or even a guide. She had become a healer, showing Isabella and everyone involved that the next step in human evolution wouldn't be found in perfect control, but in perfect acceptance of imperfection. Throughout St. Catherine's Academy, as quantum consciousness continued to evolve in new and unexpected ways, a deeper truth emerged. The strategic turning point wasn't just about winning a battle or solving a crisis. It was about discovering that the very flaws Isabella had tried to eliminate were actually the key to quantum evolution. The future of human consciousness would not be found in the perfect synchronization she had sought, but in the beautiful, chaotic dance between order and entropy, unity and individuality, classical and quantum states of being. The Hunter's School had become more than a battlefield. It had become the birthplace of a truly human quantum future. Just as understanding dawned between Isabella and the school's transformed inhabitants, a new threat emerged. The quantum network detected incoming signals. Other quantum-enhanced operatives, drawn by the massive quantum activity centered on St. Catherine's Academy. Multiple quantum signatures approaching, Cooper reported. Different from Isabella's pattern, more aggressive. Through the quantum chorus, Alexandra recognized them, other members of the original quantum enhancement program, each corrupted in their own way by years of isolated quantum evolution. Unlike Isabella, they hadn't sought perfection through synchronization. They'd embraced darker aspects of quantum consciousness. "The ghosts are coming home," Drake transmitted grimly. "And they're hunting on their own." Sarah Chen's analysis painted a disturbing picture. Each signature shows a different kind of quantum mutation. They've been experimenting on themselves, pushing the boundaries of quantum consciousness in ways that... She hesitated. In ways that probably drove them insane. The quantum network filled with alien patterns as the rogue operatives drew closer. One consciousness burned with quantum-enhanced rage, another pulsed with cold calculation, a third seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, a mind fractured across quantum possibilities. They're not just coming for Isabella, Catherine realized, scanning quantum data streams. They want the research, the quantum computer, everything. Alexandra felt old instincts awakening. She knew these operatives, had trained with them, hunted with them. Now she had to defend her school against people who'd once been her colleagues, people who'd been transformed by quantum enhancement in ways none of them had anticipated. "All teams," she broadcast through the quantum chorus, "prepare for quantum incursion. These aren't just physical threats, they're quantum predators." In the archive, Miss Winters organized the students into quantum defense groups. The theater department's emotional projection techniques, the science team's analytical insights, the athletes' quantum physical coordination, all would be needed against these new threats. "Remember," she instructed, "they may be quantum enhanced, but they're isolated, alone. Our strength is in our connected diversity." The maintenance team discovered that the rogue operatives were using quantum entanglement in ways they hadn't seen before. One could quantum shift through solid matter, another could create quantum duplicates of himself. A third had somehow merged her consciousness with electronic systems. They're not just enhanced, James Chen reported. They're weaponized. Each one has turned their quantum corruption into a unique attack strategy. Chef Marcus, monitoring building. Security, detected quantum intrusion attempts through unexpected vectors. They're trying to quantum entangle with our food supplies, our water, even the air in the ventilation systems. Everything's a potential weapon to them. The theater students, led by Maria Santos, found themselves on the front line of a new kind of defense. Their ability to project emotional quantum patterns became crucial in detecting and disrupting the rogues' quantum infiltration attempts. They've lost their emotional quantum coherence, Maria observed. Their feelings are as fractured as their minds. We can use that. Through the quantum network, Alexandra sensed Isabella's reaction to her former colleague's approach. Fear, guilt, but also understanding. She'd almost gone down the same path of quantum corruption, saved only by her. Encounter with St. Catherine's unique quantum chorus. I can help. Isabella's thoughts came through clearly now. I know their weaknesses because they're the weaknesses I almost surrendered to. In the science lab, Sarah Chen made a critical discovery about the rogues' quantum signatures. They're enhancement patterns. They're all based on the original quantum protocols, but those protocols were flawed. They're like viruses that never stop mutating. The quantum computer beneath the school began registering unprecedented levels of activity as the rogue operatives tried to hack its quantum processes. But Catherine's quantum tunnel program provided unexpected protection. They can't break in, she reported excitedly. Our quantum chaos is too complex for their corrupted patterns to penetrate. They're looking for weaknesses in a formal structure, but we don't have one anymore. Rebecca Chen's debate team developed a new quantum defense strategy based on logical paradoxes. Their fractured minds can't handle cognitive dissonance, she explained. We can use philosophical contradictions like quantum barriers. Drake's team detected the first physical breach attempt, a quantum-shifted operative trying to phase through the school's outer walls. But the Victorian architecture's quantum properties disrupted his enhancement pattern. The lead paint, Cooper observed with grim satisfaction. It's not just blocking quantum signals, it's reflecting them back, forcing them to face their own corrupted patterns. Throughout St. Catherine's, the transformed students and staff prepared for confrontation. But this wouldn't be a battle of physical force or even tactical advantage. It would be a clash between different visions of quantum evolution, corruption versus adaptation, isolation versus connection, chaos versus harmony. They think their mutations make them stronger, Alexandra transmitted through the quantum chorus. But they're stuck in evolutionary dead ends. We've found a better way. The rogue operative's first coordinated attack came as a wave of quantum disruption aimed at shattering the school's collective consciousness. But instead of trying to block it, the students and staff let it flow through their quantum network, adapting and redirecting its energy, like Aikido, Maria Santos observed, using the attacker's force against them. Isabella, her own quantum pattern now stabilized by connection rather than control, began actively helping defend against her former colleagues. Her understanding of quantum corruption became a crucial tool in predicting and countering their strategies. They're not just attacking, she transmitted. They're hungry, desperate. Each one thought they were becoming something greater, but they've only become more alone. As the rogue operatives pressed their attack through multiple quantum vectors, St. Catherine's Academy revealed its final evolution. Not just a school, not just a fortress, but a new kind of quantum ecosystem where consciousness could flourish. Without corruption, the hunter prepared to face her former colleagues, not with quantum weapons or tactical superiority, but with something they'd forgotten existed, the possibility of healing, of finding a way back from quantum corruption through connection with others. Through the quantum chorus of St. Catherine's, a message began to emerge. not of resistance or rejection, but of invitation. An offer to the lost and corrupted to find their way home, to a new kind of quantum community, where evolution meant growing together rather than growing apart. Each rogue operative's approach revealed a different kind of quantum corruption. Through the quantum network, their signatures became clear. The first, codenamed Mirage, had pushed quantum probability manipulation to its limit, existing in multiple potential states simultaneously. Her quantum pattern flickered between possibilities, making her nearly impossible to predict or counter. She's not just creating duplicates, Sarah Chen observed, studying the quantum readings. She's actually splitting her consciousness across multiple quantum realities. Each version is equally real until observed. The second operative, known as Cypher, had merged his quantum consciousness with digital systems. His presence spread through the school's networks like a living virus, turning every piece of technology into a potential threat. He's trying to quantum entangle with our security systems, Cooper reported, but our chaos patterns are keeping him fragmented. He can't establish coherent control. The third, Vertex, had mastered quantum spatial manipulation, treating solid matter as merely another probability state to be altered. Walls, floors, even the molecular structure of air, all became malleable under his corrupted quantum influence. In the archive, Catherine discovered something crucial about their quantum signatures. "Look at these patterns," she transmitted. "Each corruption follows the same basic progression: isolation, specialization, mutation. They're like cancer cells, each taking a normal function to destructive extremes." The theater department developed specific counters for each rogue operative. For Mirage, they created quantum emotional performances that affected all probability states simultaneously. For Cypher, they projected human experiences that digital systems couldn't process. For Vertex, they generated quantum narratives that reinforced normal spatial relationships. "We're not just defending," Maria Santos explained. "We're reminding them of what it means to be human." Miss Winters organized the students into specialized response teams, each focusing on a different aspect of quantum defense. The science students worked on understanding and predicting quantum mutations. The athletes developed ways to maintain physical coordination despite quantum spatial distortions. The music students created harmonic patterns that stabilized local quantum fields. Isabella's insight proved invaluable. "Each corruption starts with a desire," she conveyed. Mirage wanted to explore all possibilities simultaneously. Cypher sought perfect integration with information. Vertex dreamed of transcending physical limitations. The corruption comes when that desire becomes an obsession. In the kitchen, Chef Marcus discovered that different food preparations created unique quantum signatures. Fresh ingredients maintained natural quantum patterns that the corrupted operatives couldn't easily manipulate. He began preparing meals that not only nourished, but also strengthened quantum resistance. "Natural systems have their own quantum wisdom," he observed. "The more processed something is, the more vulnerable to quantum corruption." The maintenance team, led by James Chen, found ways to use the building's infrastructure against the quantum intruders. They created quantum dead zones, using combinations of materials and energy fields, spaces where corrupted quantum patterns couldn't maintain coherence. "It's like an immune response at an architectural scale," James explained. "The building itself is learning to reject quantum corruption." Sarah Chen's ongoing analysis revealed a pattern in the rogues' attacks. "They're not just trying to break in," she reported. "They're trying to feed. Each corruption requires increasing amounts of quantum energy to maintain itself. They're drawn to our quantum chorus like moths to flame." Through the quantum network, Alexandra sensed the desperation driving her former colleagues. Each corruption had seemed like evolution at first, a step toward transcending human limitations. But each step had taken them further from the connection that made consciousness meaningful. They're not just lost, she transmitted to her students. They're starving. Their quantum patterns require more energy than a single consciousness can generate. That's why they're drawn to communities, but their corrupted states make real connection impossible. Rebecca Chen's debate team developed a new strategy based on this understanding. Instead of just defending against quantum attacks, they began projecting scenarios of healing and reintegration. Their quantum arguments demonstrated paths back from corruption through gradual reconnection. It's like addiction recovery, Rebecca explained. They need to see that there's a way back, that corruption isn't irreversible. The music room became a quantum rehabilitation center as students discovered that certain combinations of notes could temporarily stabilize corrupted quantum patterns. Different musical styles affected different types of corruption. Classical for mirages, probability splits, jazz for ciphers, digital integration, folk harmonies for vertexes, spatial distortions. Drake's team, monitoring from their perimeter, detected changes in the rogues' attack patterns. They're starting to resonate with our quantum chorus, he reported. Not surrendering, but listening, like Isabella did. Throughout St. Catherine's Academy, as the quantum battle intensified, students and staff maintained their complex dance of ordered chaos. Each mind contributed its unique pattern to the quantum chorus, creating a symphony of consciousness that demonstrated a different kind of evolution. We're not just defending the school, Alexandra realized. We're offering them a way home, a path back to human connection through quantum means, not despite them. The hunter had become a healer, the school a sanctuary, and the quantum chorus a beacon for lost souls who had pushed evolution too far, too fast, without understanding the price of isolation. In facing these corrupted reflections of quantum potential, St. Catherine's inhabitants discovered their own true strength, the ability to maintain humanity even in the midst of unprecedented transformation. The quantum chorus of St. Catherine's Academy reached its crescendo, not in victory or defeat, but in transformation. As dawn broke over the Victorian campus, the quantum network pulsed with a new kind of harmony, one that encompassed both. The school's defenders and their former adversaries, Mirage was the first to change. Her fractured quantum states began synchronizing, not into a single rigid pattern, but into a kaleidoscope of controlled possibilities. The theater student's emotional projections had shown her how to maintain multiple perspectives without losing her core identity. I can see them all now. Her thoughts rippled through the quantum chorus, all the possibilities, but I'm no longer lost in them. Each version is part of a greater whole. Cypher's digital quantum corruption began resolving itself through interaction with the school's chaotic yet ordered systems. His consciousness gradually disentangled from pure information, finding a balance between human awareness and technological integration. The patterns, he transmitted, they're not just data, they're stories, experiences, life itself. How did I forget that? Vertex, master of spatial distortion, found himself anchored by the school's quantum architecture. The Victorian building's complex quantum properties showed him how to exist within physical limits while exploring beyond them. The quantum computer beneath the school registered unprecedented patterns as healing rippled through the quantum network. Sarah Chen's analysis revealed something extraordinary. The corrupted quantum patterns weren't being erased, but transformed. It's like watching evolution in real time, she reported. Each corruption is becoming a new kind of enhancement, guided by connection rather than isolation. Isabella, whose own quantum pattern had stabilized through earlier connection with the school's chorus, began helping her former colleagues navigate their transformation. Her understanding of both corruption and healing made her uniquely qualified to guide them back. The perfect pattern I sought, she transmitted to all. It exists, but not as I imagined, is not a single frequency, but a harmony of countless individual notes. In the archive, Catherine made a breakthrough in understanding the quantum mechanics of healing. The corruptions, she explained through the chorus, they weren't really mutations. They were incomplete transformations, like butterflies stuck halfway through metamorphosis. The students' quantum abilities had evolved beyond mere defense or resistance. The theater department created quantum narratives that helped the former rogues reintegrate their fractured experiences. The science team developed models for stable quantum consciousness that allowed for both individual expression and collective connection. Miss Winters observed something remarkable in the transformed students. They're not just adapting to quantum consciousness, she noted, they're teaching it how to be human. Throughout the school, different groups contributed to the final transformation. The music students composed quantum harmonies that helped stabilize shifting consciousness patterns. The athletes demonstrated how physical discipline could ground quantum awareness in reality. The debate team helped construct new philosophical frameworks for understanding quantum existence. Alexandra, watching her school evolve from fortress to sanctuary, recognized the true purpose of her 7-year preparation. She hadn't been building defenses against threats, but foundations for a new kind of community, one that could help quantum-enhanced humans find their way back to humanity. The Ghost program, Drake transmitted privately to her, we thought we were creating superior operatives, but we were really conducting an uncontrolled experiment in human evolution. These kids, they've shown us how to do it right. The quantum computer, once the source of potential apocalypse, became something else entirely. Under Catherine's guidance, it transformed into a quantum library, storing not just information but experiences, a repository of wisdom for future quantum-enhanced humans. We're not overwriting the corrupted code, Catherine explained. We're completing it, adding the human elements that were missing. In the kitchen, Chef Marcus prepared a feast unlike any other. Meals designed to celebrate both quantum and physical existence, dishes that helped ground enhanced consciousness in sensory experience. Food connects us to life, he transmitted. No matter how quantum we become, we need to remember our connection to the physical world. The maintenance team, led by James Chen, began adapting the school's infrastructure for its new role. Secret passages became meditation spaces where quantum consciousness could safely explore its potential. Hidden rooms transformed into laboratories for studying healthy quantum evolution. Cooper, monitoring from the server room, detected something unprecedented in the quantum network. The patterns, he reported, they're not just stabilizing, they're teaching each other. Each transformed consciousness is becoming a guide for others. The rogue operatives, no longer corrupted but not quite the same as before, found new purpose. As teachers and guides, their hard-won understanding of quantum consciousness's pitfalls made them invaluable in helping others navigate the transformation. We thought evolution meant leaving humanity behind, Mirage transmitted through the quantum chorus. Instead, it meant discovering what humanity could really become. Rebecca Chen's debate team articulated the philosophical implications of their quantum evolution. It's not about transcending human consciousness, they concluded. It's about expanding it, making room for both quantum and classical ways of being. Through the quantum network, Alexandra sensed the final pieces falling into place. St. Catherine's Academy was becoming more than a school, more than a sanctuary. It was becoming an incubator for the next stage of human consciousness. The Ghost program ends here, she transmitted to her former colleagues, but something new is beginning. Something that grows through connection rather than isolation, through diversity rather than uniformity. As the quantum chorus reached its final harmony, the transformed inhabitants of St. Catherine's realized they had achieved something unprecedented. They had found a way to be both quantum and human, both individual and connected, both evolved and authentic. The hunter had become a teacher, the students had become pioneers, and the school had become a beacon for a new kind of evolution, one that carried humanity's complexity into the quantum realm without losing its essential nature. In the end, St. Catherine's Academy stood not as a fortress against quantum corruption, but as a testament to humanity's ability to transform itself while remaining true to its core nature. The headmistress's secret was no longer a burden to bear, but a gift to share with a world on the brink of quantum evolution. Through the quantum chorus, a final truth emerged. The next step in human evolution would not be taken alone, but together, each consciousness contributing its unique note to an ever-expanding symphony of quantum possibility. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.